Hello everybody and welcome to the Reds Army. This is where we talk about anything and everything about Manchester United. Well, we have a lot to talk about today. We need to talk about Marcus Rashford's performance at Aston Villa. We also need to talk about the new injuries that we have suffered. You know, Mazraoui is said to be injured and he will not be playing until the end of the season. We also need to talk about the news that are coming from Old Trafford that we might be on the lookout, or we might be searching for a striker, and Osimhen has been mentioned there. So it's an interesting development. I hope it's true. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then we'll also look at the Ipswich game, especially the lineup now that we have these new injuries, and the performance that we expect, especially after a poor performance against Everton, especially in the first half. Okay, so we'll talk about all that, and I will also love for you to engage me in the comment section and share your thoughts in the comment section. And if you're new here, take a second to subscribe. It really helps the channel. So let's first start with the elephant in the room, Marcus Rashford. I mean, he was our shining star at a particular time, but right now he has fallen from grace, and he's currently playing at Aston Villa on loan. But there's something that has caught my eye recently, is that Marcus Rashford, actually, he is regaining his confidence. He's playing with a bit of confidence compared to when he was playing at Man United. He was frowning, his head was down, his shoulders were shrinked. You could see that this is a man who was struggling. But right now he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's not playing really good football. He's not the real Marcus Rashford that we had at Man United, but there is some glimpse of hope that he might actually emerge from the corners of the shadows that he has been hiding, and he might actually overperform at Aston Villa. Something else I also noticed about Marcus Rashford is that he's dribbling. He's trying to dribble. Of course, he's not really successful at dribbling, but he is trying to dribble. He's trying to take on defenders. He's trying to make those runs. He's trying to be a bit creative as a winger, and we saw that when he actually produced an outstanding assist and towards Asensio when they were playing against Chelsea. Marcus Rashford seems happy. He seems like a player who is actually rediscovering himself. So which makes me wonder, is there a problem at Manchester United that is forcing players to actually lose themselves? It's actually taking the love of football away from players. I think there could be more than what we are being told by people who are working at Old Trafford and people who are working at Manchester United. I think there is a toxic environment there that is actually demoralizing players from actually performing. And there are several other issues that could actually be contributing to the new found form of Marcus Rashford. You can also tell the same from Anthony. Anthony is also rediscovering his form. He's also playing happy. He's also happy. He's also playing with a lot of confidence. But we'll talk about Anthony in another video. Today I want to focus on Marcus Rashford. He seems happy. He seems contented. He seems like he has found his feet. And I think there's something going on at Manchester United. There's something that we are not told, and I really do hope that they can fix this issue before it continues to affect our brighter stars right now. We don't have many of those left at Manchester United, so it's sad to see somebody like Marcus Rashford putting in the effort for another team in the Premier League. And we cannot fault Rashford for this, because I know he would never want to sell Manchester United. He will never want to compromise Manchester United. For God's sake, this is a kid who was actually in our academy. He was brought up from our academy. He's a Manchester United through and through. I don't think he would really want to sabotage Manchester United. There's something else going on down there, and I would really love for people to fix these issues before actually these issues become bigger, and they morph and they mutate and they start now affecting all the players at Manchester United. So what happens now? Well, at the moment, Marcus Rashford is playing for Aston Villa on a loan deal until the end of the season. Well, there is an option to buy where Aston Villa will pay 40 million for Marcus Rashford. So, which makes me wonder, are we really making a mistake here letting go of Rashford? And is there any scenario that he might ever come back to Manchester United? First, about the mistake, I don't think there is a mistake. I don't think Manchester United is making a mistake. We are trying something. We are trying to put up Rashford on a loan deal so that he can change the environment a little bit, so that he can try and focus on football. Because playing a footballer, footballers are like any other workers. When you stay in a hostile environment, it's difficult for you to enjoy what you do. It's difficult for you to work in a hostile environment. And what I mean by hostile environment is that at Manchester United, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of criticism, because the expectations are very high. So people are expected to perform, people are expected to deliver on a consistent basis. So when he has a few bad games, you can imagine that the fans will be calling out his name. Pundit podcast like this, we are going to try and call him out for the mistakes that he's making, for his underperformance. And you really need to understand is that footballers are also human beings, and not everybody can cope up with such pressure, such criticism, especially when you have other things going on in your life, because Rashford had some challenges going on in his personal life and private life, and these actually affected the way he played football. So I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was a good decision to put him to get him out of this environment, so that he can go out there and rediscover his love for the game. And once he rediscovers his love for football, maybe then we can try and negotiate a deal to try and convince him to come back to Manchester United. But I really doubt whether Marcus Rashford will ever come back to Man United, given the way things ended between him and Amorim. While there is another factor, it's the Amorim factor. So if Amorim is sacked by summer, or loses his job due to poor performances, and we're bringing a new manager, there are higher chances that the new manager would actually convince Rashford to come and convince him that he's going to build a team around him. I think Marcus Rashford would really appreciate that, especially when he has rediscovered his love for the game and he's playing with passion. He would really want to come back to Man United, and we would use a player like Marcus Rashford, especially when he's at red hot form. I think Amorim leaving Man United might convince Rashford to come back, and there are higher chances that Amorim might be sacked, especially right now that we have these few crucial games, and there is a danger of relegation. So if we don't perform as we should be performing, especially if we go out of Europa League, if we go out of FA Cup, and if the danger now of relegation becomes a real threat, there are higher chances that Amorim might be sacked. We have seen that Ineos, they don't hesitate to pull the plug. We saw what happened with Dan Ashworth, so there are higher chances they can do the same with Amorim. So Marcus Rashford had a very tough time at Manchester United. Since actually the last time Marcus Rashford played really good football was during Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's time. And you remember that time when our front three actually outscored Liverpool, outscored Manchester City. You remember those days when we had Anthony Martial scoring for fun, Mason Greenwood terrorizing defenders, and Marcus Rashford striking fear into our opponents. That's when Marcus Rashford actually performed better for Manchester United. Ever since, he has not been scoring goals, and we really do hope that he can regain his form at Aston Villa, and maybe we can convince him during summer that, hey, you can come back here and we can talk this out, and then we can try and find a solution for you, because we need somebody with your skills, we need somebody with your abilities and your experience. But, and this is a very huge but, I don't see Marcus Rashford coming back to Man United, especially right now that we are in a chaotic phase. I mean, there is no stability at Manchester United whatsoever. We have all these problems, and we are in a crisis. We don't have any direction. So it's difficult to convince somebody like Marcus Rashford, somebody who has actually witnessed the chaos firsthand, to come back at Man United now that he is in a bit of a sober environment at Aston Villa. Okay, Aston Villa are not as huge as Man United, but they are a bit stable compared to Man United right now. So they offer that stable environment for him to work, for him to regain his form and to fall in love with football again. So it's difficult to see him moving from that environment and coming back into the chaos and crisis at Man United. So the worst case scenario is Marcus Rashford staying at Aston Villa and actually becoming the Marcus Rashford that we all hoped he would become for Man United. Okay, but there is also another scenario where he might leave England and try to explore Europe. Like he might go to PSG. I think he could go to PSG. He would actually benefit a lot if he went to PSG, given that the Ligue 1, the French league, is not as competitive as Premier League. So he might actually find his footing there and maybe transition to La Liga. And mostly I would see him ending up at Barcelona now that Kylian Mbappe is at Real Madrid. So I see Marcus Rashford ending up at Barcelona, but at the end of the day, it depends on the player and what he wants to achieve. But him coming back to Man United, man, so many things have to actually fall in line for him to consider coming back to Man United. So let's talk about the injuries. Mazraoui is injured. I mean, he has played 38 games this season, so it was only a matter of time before one of these players, between him and Bruno Fernandes, suffering an injury. So he's out. He was out during the Everton game, and he was substituted in the 70th minute, where we brought in Yoro. Yoro actually tried his best to fill in the position. There's still a little bit of form. He's not really at top form. But we really do hope that he will step up for Man United. So remember, our back four, our defense is actually very thin. Martinez is out. Martinez is out until the end of the season. He's not coming back. Okay, he fractured his ACL. Now, Kobbie Mainoo is also out. He's not coming back. Amad is out. I mean, these are very crucial players for Man United. That's why we are struggling this season. And I really do hope that next season, at the beginning of the season, or even the preseason, that they'll be able to be fully fit so that they can participate in the preseason and then kick off next season with a bang. And there was some news actually in the newspapers, and I was reading one today where there are news coming from Man United that we are on the hunt for a striker, a new striker during summer, and Osimhen is actually one of the names that has been thrown around, and it is believed that Amorim would consider buying Osimhen or bringing Osimhen to Man United, given that our front two, our strikers are actually not scoring goals. They are actually very, very blunt. They are not scoring any goals. They are not as sharp as we would love them to be. So we need a striker who is proven to score goals. And if Osimhen is actually available, I see him as a really good option. But we still have to wait for summer, because this Man United, we have been linked with so many players over time, but we don't usually end up getting any of these players, or we get just a few of them. And this is another interesting story, that Son from Tottenham is being considered at Manchester United. It's unbelievable. I really do hope it's true, because I love Son. Son is an incredible player. He's an incredible player. But there's also a downside to this story. One, Son is actually aging, and he's actually he's not as sharp as he used to be. He's still very, very good player. He can fit into this Man United and cause problems for our opponents, but he's not the kind of a player we should be looking at. We should be looking at younger players who we can bring through, and then maybe along the line they will be performing for us. But Son is actually a really good addition to the team, as long as we bring in more players, and then Son will fit in. The same thing we did with Eriksen. Eriksen is a very good midfielder, but he wasn't the heart of our midfield. Okay, so we should not bring in Son and overload him with the responsibilities. That's what kills Man United players. You bring them in, and then you overload them so that they have to overachieve, and then this is too much for anybody, even you and I. Okay. So we also have a game on Wednesday on 26th against Ipswich. It's a very interesting game because first of all, Ipswich are fighting for relegation. They're in the relegation zone. They are actually, just a minute, Ipswich are actually they are 18th. and they have 17 points. So we are ahead of them with 13 points, and we are 15th. So just 3 positions ahead of them. But this game is going to be a very tough game, given that first, Man United has proven that they can struggle against poor teams in the league. We struggled against Everton. Everton is not a poor team, but remember, we also struggled against Wolves. Wolves actually beat us. And if you look at Wolves right now, I don't know. Wolves right now are 17th. Okay, they have 22 points, and they beat Manchester United. So they are beneath us. So it's not... The Ipswich game is not going to be as easy as people think. It's not going to be as easy as people think. And then the worst thing is that we are playing at Old Trafford. We are playing Ipswich at Old Trafford, which is another problem because our home games have not been as productive as we would love them to be. So this is going to be a dangerous game. Remember, Ipswich are also fighting to escape the relegation zone, and they also know that Man United is very weak and very vulnerable at the moment. So they are going to bring their A game, which might end up causing us more problems. So we cannot afford a draw right now. I think 3 points is a must against Ipswich. We really don't have to settle for anything less than 3 points. We need those 3 points, and we should get those 3 points even if we score 1 goal and then park the bus. I don't care. As long as we get the 3 points, I'm sure we are going to avoid relegation. So given the amount of injuries we have suffered lately and the performances and the poor performances from some players, let's look at the predicted lineup. This is what Onana, of course, this is what I would love for Man United to play. This is the lineup I would love for Man United to play. Onana is going to be a starter, an automatic starter as a goalkeeper. In our defense, of course, we're going to play back 3. We have Delete, Maguire, and right now since Mazraoui is out, we are going to play Yoro in that position. So those are the back 3. And then we have the midfielders, the holding midfielders. We are going to have Ugarte and Casemiro. Well, Ugarte scored a goal against Everton. He is an incredible player. He can do incredible things. So let's hope that his pairing with Casemiro will actually yield something before the end of the season, especially right now when we are playing Ipswich and we really need those 3 points. If we can get those 3 points right now against Ipswich, I'm 100% sure that the battle for relegation is actually over and we will survive to stay in the Premier League next season. So what about our wing backs? On the left, we have Dogu. Our left wing back is Dogu. Dogu, actually, according to me, was the man of the match against Everton, although Fernandes was given the award. But I think Dogu was the one for me. He is an animal. He actually performed so well, and you would think that this guy has been at Manchester United for years. Not even just, and he hasn't even completed even 1 month, but he's playing excellent football. Now on the right back we have Dalot. Okay, Dalot is an incredible player. He has pace and everything. So he's an automatic starter on the right wing, especially right now that we are struggling. We don't have Luke Shaw, and Malaysia is out of Man United. So our attacking midfielder is none other but Bruno Fernandes. I would love to see him as an attacking midfielder. And then we have our strikers, who is Højlund and Zirkzee. Well, these 2 people actually, they are not fitting into Man United system right now. But I really do hope that one day maybe they will find their footing and they will be able to work together and score goals. Because if you look at them individually, these are really good strikers. They can really score goals. But something is not clicking. But at the end of the day, we don't have many options, so it will be Højlund and Zirkzee, and then maybe we'll bring in Chido Obi Martin as a substitute. Well, he's still young, he's still fresh and very green, still finding his feet, and I really do hope that such games, when he's given such minutes, he can take advantage of such minutes, and he will build up his confidence and everything. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Is that a really good lineup? And what do you think about Marcus Rashford? Will he ever come back at Man United, or that's it, he's gone? And What about the Osimhen and Son issues? Do you think we are good with Osimhen, or do you think we should be looking at other striker? What about Son from Tottenham? Should he come to Man United, or should we be looking for another player? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. That's it for today. And if you are new here, kindly take a second to subscribe to the channel. I know I sound like a broken record, but it really helps the channel. It's only just 1 second, and I appreciate every effort. I appreciate every support that comes our way. You are loved and you are appreciated, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.